We all have questions.
What is it that hinders me, stopping me from getting to where I want to go?
Find the answers on The Dani Johnson Show.
You can't reach for anything if your hands are still full of yesterday's junk.
Keep moving forward with Dani Johnson.
So that you can get to the destiny that you're after. There is another way to live, my friend. There is.
This is The Dani Johnson Show.
Welcome to The Dani Johnson Show. We really are blessed. Our whole team here are so blessed that you made the choice to join us today. You're going to be glad, I promise. Today, or whatever time you're watching this or listening to this, it's going to be rather insightful. It will. This is going to be one of those days where you go, I never thought of that. Those are good days. And sometimes when you hear something you never thought about, you actually can make a choice to make a really good, positive change in your life. And why? You are in control of your own life. You are. You're in control of your actions. You're in control of what comes out of your mouth. Yeah, I read this recently, and it was a doozy. I got punched in the face with this truth. Love is not provoked. So bad. Think about that. Love is not provoked. Yikes. I am rather easily provoked, pretty much by one individual. Most people, I can pretty well manage my reactions, my responses. But there's one person in my life that they just seem to know. This individual knows where the button is. It's like the eject button. The eject of my love, my patience, out the door, okay? My kindness, out the door. My gentleness, out the door. But yeah, provoke. Bam, let's find the provoke button. This one person in my life knows where the provoke button is. And man, I got smacked in the head with this truth. It's actually over the last 48 hours. Actually, it's more than that. It's because I first got slapped with it back when we were in Long Beach for First Steps to Success. But here it is resurfacing again. We really are in control of our own mouths. Me. We're in control of our own actions. We're in control of what our face says to each other. Which brings me to what we're talking about. What do you think about influence? Do you know that people are watching you? They are. They're watching you. Whether you realize it or not, you, my friend, are being watched. Especially by the next generation. Whether you gave birth to the next generation or not, you are influencing the next generation. You're influencing them based on, what you talk about. Yep. You're influencing them by what you buy. How you talk about work. How you talk about your boss. How you talk about your clients. How you talk about your spouse, how you talk about your brothers and sisters. And I got to tell you, man, we are all just so guilty of this. We really are. Things fly out of our mouth all day long, every day. And for some of us, even when we're sleeping. Things fly out of our mouth, even in our sleep. And it influences people. It does. Especially the next generation. So whether we are making a conscious effort to not set an example or to set an example, a positive example, the next generation is watching. You know, the best success book ever written has said that we will be condemned by our own words or we will be acquitted. Either we'll be acquitted or we'll be condemned. And that we're going to have to answer for every word that comes out of our mouths. And it also says that we're going to be held responsible for every idle word that comes out of our mouths. Every idle word. That same book says that our words should be used to edify, to encourage, to build up. The word idle, I looked it up in the dictionary when I found this one passage. And when I looked it up, the word idle, it meant that which bears no good fruit. That's what idle means. It means that it's producing nothing. So the words in which we are speaking, those words that produce nothing good, the words that produce just basically that just suck up air, they just take oxygen, they take up space inside of people's heads, that we're actually going to have to answer to every idle word that we have spoken. Why? I don't think you and I know how much influence we have on others. I know I don't. I know that I know that I know that I don't. I forget who's watching and I forget who's listening. I do. Just last night, my girlfriend had called me. She was at the hospital with my aunt, and she said, I live in this small town. And so, they weren't quite giving my aunt the kind of care. And she says, don't worry, Dani. She goes, I'm here. And my aunt's in California. And she says, don't worry, Dani, I'm here. And I will make sure they give her the treatment that she's going to need. And she says, or they're going to get a piece of me. And I said, oh, really? I said, Dina, there's no need to do that. However, I appreciate you being there by the bedside with my aunt. And she says, Dani, there's something I've learned through the years. This is a small town. And she says, and I have to learn how to watch my mouth because this little town that I live in, pretty much I know everybody and everybody knows me. And she says, and I've really got to use self-control what comes out of my mouth because every time I let my mouth go off, I'll turn around and there's someone that I know. I said, Dina, there's actually more than that. It's not just the small town. I said, but every time you go on vacation, every time you come out here to Texas to see us, I said, every place that you go in an airplane, I said, there is actually someone that knows you and his name is Jesus. He knows you. And he sees every single word that comes out of your mouth. She goes, yeah, it's not just the small town I live in. I probably shouldn't just worry about those that are around me. I probably need to, be a little wise about who I know is watching me 24/7. Friend, you and I have influence. You and I have influence. And you don't have to be famous to have influence. And you don't have to be educated to have influence. And you don't have to be a part of some big family that's famous to have influence. You don't have to be in the popular crowd to have influence, as I definitely was not a part of the popular crowd growing up. Was not the prom queen, was not the most likely to succeed. I was the only senior in my class. No, popularity was not my thing. You don't have to be good looking to have influence. You don't have to look like Barbie to have influence or Ken to have influence. You have a powerful gift of influence. Whether you are 3 years old or 35 or 85 or 95, you have influence. And how you use that influence determines whether or not you gain more authority in the influence territory. How you manage your influence, how you use it, determines how much more authority you have and how much more territory you gain. So we're talking about the influence that predominantly you and I have on the next generation. You see, every time you degrade yourself in the mirror, your child hears you doing that. And you are forming and programming their mind on how they will look at their body, their own self-image. Every time you gossip about your boss, you are forming their mind, programming them as we program computers. Not me, but other people program computers. As we do that very deliberately, every time you gossip about your boss, complain about your boss, you are literally programming your son or daughter or niece or nephew or grandson and daughter or spiritual child, programming their mind on how they should look at their future boss. You are imparting an attitude into the next generation that is very harmful if you're gossiping. But if you use your mouth to be edifying of your boss, your coworkers, your spouse, your parents, if you use your mouth to be edifying and encouraging where it is appropriate, well, then you are programming your child's mind on how they should look at those things. You know, we had a caller on a show recently that really, she impressed me. I was really impressed by this individual. And we were talking about setbacks and what our attitude should be in failure and the purpose for failures in our lives. And I was asking our precious listeners of the show to tell me what keeps them going when they want to quit. What is it that when you found your face on the pavement, your mouth is filled with gravel and blood, what is it that keeps you going? And this mom calls in and she says, it's my kids. She said, because if I fail and I stay there, then I'm setting a bad example for my children. And I'm telling them that when they fail, because they will fail in life, they are going to have failures no matter what, that if I stay in my failure, then it's showing them by my example, and I am teaching them that it's okay to stay stuck in your failure. So for the sake of my kids, I have to get back up, and I have to keep going. So I'm showing them the right example of what to do with a failure. That is, don't quit. Keep going. Man, I'm telling you, I've been marinating off of her words ever since she said them. She really influenced me to look at my life and to look at the example I'm setting for my children, good, bad, or indifferent, and to kind of do a little report card on myself saying, I probably need to improve in this area. Because again, yes, although I wrote the book, Grooming the Next Generation for Success, I probably need to read it again. I probably do. There's probably some things that I stopped doing along the way as my kids became teenagers or whatever. Or different personalities had different things, or different trials that came to our family, different disasters caused by me or caused by others that happened. Regardless, we all have influence. You influence me. Hopefully I get to influence you a little bit today. But together we're going to influence those that won't call in to share about the examples that we're setting and what kind of examples should we be setting for our kids. Let's learn from each other about some good things you picked up from your parents that you were influenced by positively, and some maybe negative things that you were influenced by, but how will you change that for the next generation? So we don't pass down a curse to them, we don't pass down a cripple for them, but instead we pass down success for them, a life that is easier for them. 844-200-3264 is my number. I look forward to taking your call right after this.
The Dani Johnson Show, helping people just like you make life more enjoyable and rewarding. The Dani Johnson Show.
Is God calling you to the entertainment industry? Do you want to rise for Him? Do you want to be an actor, model, singer, or dancer and shine for God? Do you think the world needs better role models? Do you want to be a star for the Most High God? Actors, models, and talent for Christ is coming to a city near you. A new generation of Christian performers is rising. Call 800-STAR-420 or go to amtcaudition.com. God gave you talent for a reason, and that is to shine for Him. So we are searching for actors, models, singers, and dancers. Go to amtcaudition.com to find out when and where the next free audition will be held. Entertainment is the best opportunity for Christians to change the world, and the time is now. Are you ready for that call? 800-STAR-420 or go to amtcaudition.com. That's actors, models, and talent for Christ. Register for your audition today. Okay, if you know me at all, I don't want you spending a penny more than you have to on anything. This is one of those things. If you're a business owner and take credit cards, you're paying too much unless you're working with my friend Kevin at Prestige Merchant Solutions. He's so confident that if he can't save you money, he'll pay you $100. Listen, if you're accepting payment by credit cards, check it out. 850-200-0709. That's 850-200-0709. Kevin guarantees 5-star service. He guarantees he'll save you money, and he'll pay you $100 if he can't. No risk, right? So what are you waiting for? Call today. It's quick to change your current service, incredibly reliable, 24/7 support, and payments are processed quickly. Tell him Dani sent you. There's nothing to lose. Call 850-200-0709. 850-200-0709. Stop overpaying today. Dani Johnson here, and you're listening to The Dani Johnson Show with tens of thousands of people just like you. People thinking about what you think about, talking about what you talk about, and needing the same products and services you need. It's a place where like-minded consumers gather, savvy business owners, marketing directors, and responsive individuals making significant buying decisions. From consumer home goods and services to business products, people just like you needing the same things you need. They should be buying your product and service or doing business with your company. I'd love to help. To find out how to advertise on this show, email info@intelerep.com. That's info at INTELEREP.com, or call 251-928-9400. That's info@intelerep.com or 251-928-9400.
Radio talk show host Dani Johnson in Kadwa, Haiti.
Hi, I'm Dani Johnson, and I'm here with Vida in her tiny little home. This home is the size of many people's closets in the United States of America. Now, we're sitting on a bed, just a piece of sheet or plastic that these beautiful babies sleep on. They have nothing. This family has nothing. No water, no food, nothing. Won't you do something? The Bible says that if you ignore the cry of the poor, then you too will cry and be ignored. They're not asking for nice clothes. They're asking for food. That's it. Food, water. You can help. We want to build her a home. We want to bring water, clean, fresh water here. But we can't do it alone. We need you.
Help us radically change a community. Go to kingsransom.org to make your donation to Kadwa, Haiti. That's kingsransom.org.
If you're a Christian who's paying too much for healthcare, you're going to love Medishare. It's a nationwide community of believers who share each other's medical bills. It's affordable. Families average around $300 a month, and it's accepted by America's largest network of health providers. Plus, the healthcare law has a special provision for Medishare members, so you're exempt from any tax penalties. But here's the best part. Medishare is based on the timeless principles found in God's Word. You never have to pay for things that go against your beliefs. Medishare is healthcare the way God meant it to be.
Learn how thousands of Christians can help you save on your health care. For your free information guide, call 855-90-BIBLE. Not available in Montana. Medishare, affordable biblical health care. Call 855-90-BIBLE. That's 855-90-BIBLE.
Now, more of the Dani Johnson Show.
Do you realize that you are shaping and molding the next generation? Do you realize that? You are. You are literally shaping and molding the next generation. How? With everything you do. Everything you and I do, they are watching. Even when we talk about food, like if we obsess over food, we are programming their minds about obsessing over food. If we obsess over our bodies, we're programming them to obsess about their bodies. If we're addicted to video games, we are programming them to be addicted to video games. If they see us at the dinner table with our cell phones and we're constantly on Facebook or watching YouTube videos or tweeting or Instagramming or whatever it is, Pinteresting, whatever, and we are tuning everybody else out around the dinner table and we've got our own little personal computer inside of our hands, we are programming the future mothers and fathers who are around that dinner table on how they will act in front of their kids. We have the power to influence them in a positive way, and we have the power to influence them in a negative one. So I want you and I today to really look at our influence and how we're using it. And I want you to call me and tell me, what changes have you made? Maybe they're recent, maybe they were years past. Changes you made to make a more positive impact on the next generation, the future, because they are the future. They are the future. Listen to me now. They are the future. And we have the power to influence them positively or negatively. 844-200-3264. Again, that's 844-200-3264. 64. Do you have the courage to call me now and share with me what are some mistakes that you've made while parenting? What was the negative impact it had on the kids? Or what was some of the positive things that you poured into your children? And how do you see that manifested into them later or even now, like while they're still young or when they became teenagers or when they went on to adulthood? What were some of the things that you influenced them with that worked? And what are some things that you wished you hadn't influenced them with that you didn't think about when they were young? 844-200-3264 is my number. Again, 844-200-3264. 1 Corinthians 15:33 says, don't be deceived. Bad company corrupts good morals. You know, I got to tell you a funny story. It's really not that funny. It's kind of bad. But I remember the very first time that I saw one of my kids give this kind of a response to their sibling. And it was probably Cabe and Roman, more than likely, but it was a gosh. And I remember looking at that. Come on, you could just picture the look, right, on the little face, right? They were both little. They're 3 years apart. And when I saw one of their responses, whatever, be sarcastic and kind of mocking and, I don't know, just dishonorable, just totally disrespectful, and kind of putting down on what the younger one was saying. When I saw that, right away, I'm going to bring correction to that. Like, excuse me, time out, both of you. This is not honoring each other. And I would have my little script, if you will, that I wrote about in grooming the next generation for success. And there's a bunch of scripts in here on how to discipline your kid. I mean, you don't even have to know what to say. Just read the script. It works really, really well. It worked for us. It helped to bring less stress into our house, a lot of peace in our house, and a lot of compliments on our kids. But what I saw, and I felt this conviction in my spirit, okay? And this is based on even on this passage in the best success book ever written, that do not be deceived, bad company corrupts good morals. So where in the world did my son learn how to do that? This, you know what I'm saying? No, the radio isn't making a mistake. This is not static. The rolling of the eyes, the puff out of the mouth, right? The hand goes up, the neck jerks, the head rolls to the left. You know what I'm saying? Whatever. It's kind of mocking. It's not honorable. And right in that moment when I saw that, this hit my spirit. Where did he learn that? He'd never been to school. He learned it from me. He saw me do that with his father. He saw me do that with his father. And here I am trying to correct it on my son. I better correct it in me. Bad company corrupts good morals. How in the world could I teach my kids to have good morals and to not roll their eyes, jerk their neck, throw up their hands, and give a huff and a puff and mock somebody? How do I stand on any authority to teach them not to do that with each other if I have a practice of doing that with my spouse? Ouch, right? So that's a bad influence story. That's where I influenced my kid badly. Have I made a correction? Yes. Am I perfect all the time? No. This is Dani Johnson. We'll continue with more after this.
How can you achieve your goals and change your life for the better?
Tune in, turn it up, listen.
Stay right where you are for more of The Dani Johnson Show.
Radio talk show host Dani Johnson in Kadwa, Haiti.
Hi, I'm Dani Johnson, and I'm here with Vida in her tiny little home. This home is the size of many people's closets in the United States of America. Now, we're sitting on a bed, just a piece of sheet or plastic that these beautiful babies sleep on. They have nothing. This family has nothing. No water, no food, nothing. Won't you do something? The Bible says that if you ignore the cry of the poor, then you too will cry and be ignored. They're not asking for nice clothes. They're asking for food. That's it. Food, water. You can help. We want to build her a home. We want to bring water, clean, fresh water here. But we can't do it alone. We need you.
Help us radically change a community. Go to kingsransom.org to make your donation to Kadwa, Haiti. That's kingsransom.org.
Ever wondered how to advertise on The Dani Johnson Show with tens of thousands of people just like you listening? Thinking about the things you do? Talking about the things you do? And needing products and services you need? Savvy business owners and marketing directors advertise on The Dani Johnson Show. Advertise your products or services on The Dani Johnson Show. Email info@intellerep.com or call 251-928-9400. 251-928-9400.
No excuses, just results. And now, back to more of The Dani Johnson Show.
Every decision that you make impacts other people that are around you. You're like, duh, Dani, I know that. I don't need you to tell me that. Well, sometimes we need a reminder, though. Come on, there's nothing new under the sun, is there? No, there is nothing new under the sun. It's not about hearing something new. It's about hearing what you need to hear when you need to hear it. And if you just heard it, you make decisions and it impacts people around you. You needed to hear it today. So what does that mean? Okay, well, right before we took that last break, I was talking about, this bad, nasty, evil habit that I had of my response to my husband when he wouldn't listen to me, or I don't know, or we were festering at each other. Maybe I was just PMSing. Whatever my lame excuse is, whatever. And then I see my child do that to his brother and realize, where did he learn that from? He learned it from me. Kids have a tendency of being a mirror for us, right? Well, I told you about some bad thing that I influenced my kid with and needed to correct. And again, that means I have to fix this myself. I have to fix it in me that I'm not responding to my husband like that. Come on. Oh, I'm kind of disgusted with myself, actually. I do way better than I ever did, but I'm still not where I should be. And come on, that's just too many years. It's ridiculous. 21, married under the contract of marriage, years 23, living and sleeping together. But anyway, So I got to tell you about one, positive thing that I feel, because that's the question I'm asking you. What are some positive things you influenced your kids with? What are some negative things that you influenced your kid with? If you just want to talk about the positive, feel free. We're good. But if you got the courage and humility to say, this is where I really screwed up, 844-200-3264. Again, that's 844-200-3264. Takes a special person. That was 3264. It takes a special person to humble themselves and say, I really made a big mistake right here, and I've seen that manifested in my kids. How do I fix it? Okay, I may not have the answer on how to fix it, but two heads are better than one. That you plus me might make two. Or when you do ask your question and it's heard, and people are listening on the show and they happen to be on Facebook at the same time, they might give their input on answering your question too, because that's three heads that might be way better than one by far. And there's a lot of other people out there that have much better advice than I do, for sure. 844-200-3264. So now I'm going to tell you about something that I positively influenced my kids with, and I'm really happy that I did this. One of them is that I had seen that our kids were rather privileged, obviously, and very much more privileged than my husband and I when we were growing up. And I didn't want my kids being robbed of the understanding of poverty, because poverty actually played a good and strategic role in my life growing up. As much as it was painful with, the drugs that were in the house and the abuse that was in the house and the constant fighting about money and the paycheck to paycheck scene and never learning how to deal with money in a positive way, those had some negative impacts on me. However, poverty actually played a really important role in my life. Being homeless played a very important role in my life. I wouldn't be where I'm sitting today talking to you had I not been homeless 23 years ago and been faced with never returning broke again. I never wanted to be broke again. Once I suffered like that, it was never again do I want to be that stupid. Never again do I want to live like that. Never again do I want to make choices that I made that got me into that place of being homeless. And so I didn't want my kids to be robbed of the understanding of poverty, tasting it, feeling it, smelling it, being a part of it. And so I remember when our daughter and son were in a private school in the San Francisco Bay Area when we lived in California. And I remember pulling up in the carpool lane to pick the kids up from school. And I was shocked. I mean, here I had seen in the high school parking lot, the student parking lot, BMWs, Mercedes-Benz, Volvos, Range Rovers, Corvettes, wow, sports cars. It looked like an expensive car lot. It certainly did not look like a average student parking lot. And so then I looked at the car I was driving and then the car that everybody else was driving, and oh gosh, something just hit my spirit. And I sat there and I thought, wow, this is a crazy, crazy way to raise our kids. And I fast forwarded. Erica, who at that time was very young, I fast forwarded and I thought, I saw Erica turning 16 and coming to my husband and I and saying, Joey got a BMW for his 16th birthday. What am I going to get? And the first answer that came to my mind when I saw this scenario in my mind, it was kind of like an open vision. My answer was, a job, honey. You're buying your own car. And wow, here I thought, oh my gosh, look at this affluent place that we're raising our kids in. This is like such a facade. These people are massively in debt. People are working around the clock. People have their kids in all of these crazy activities. They don't sit around the table and have family time. Their kids have everything, and they're a bunch of spoiled, rotten brats. We pulled our kids from that school, and we moved up to the mountains to get them away from the merchandising of humans, away from the merchandising of slavery. Yeah, it was merchandising of slavery. What do I mean? What I mean is it was making the bondage of debt and the slavery of debt look sexy, pretty, beautiful, as plastic as the facelifts of the moms and the other jobs that happened all over her body. That as she showed up in her little running suit in her car with sweat and her little thing over her head. That was not me. That's not the mom I am. Nope. So when I saw that, I was like, I don't want my kids around this. And I talked to my husband and he totally agreed. Like, no, this isn't good. First of all, it's constantly tempting us. No matter how hard you work, you feel like you don't have enough. You feel like you haven't bought enough. So we did. We changed our life to influence our kids' life in a different way. And that is one thing I'm really happy that I did. Another thing is that I didn't have servants. Even though we were multimillionaires, we didn't have servants. We didn't have a butler. We didn't have a chauffeur. We didn't have that stuff. I didn't have a cook. We didn't do that. I mean, I had a nanny from time to time that helped me 3 days a week. And, on 2 of those days, she was responsible for dinner. It would often be like, chicken and rice, whatever it is that she could put together that night. But, we didn't have the chef, and for most of my kids' grown-up years, they did not have nannies. Most of their grown-up years, mom was the nanny, the cook, the chef, the carpooler, the housekeeper, the homeschooler, the whole thing. On top, I worked part-time, 20 hours a week since 1996. So except for a 4-year stint, I was completely retired for 4 years. So I'm happy that I didn't have servants. I'm happy that we didn't have full-time housekeepers. We have a woman that comes twice a month, and that's it for the heavy, deep cleaning. But the rest of it is up to us. I'm really happy that our kids had chores. I'm happy that those chores gave me the opportunity to influence them, to have the right attitude about work, to be disciplined with work, to bring excellence and diligence into work, because spoiled, rotten kids expect you to do everything. They just do. So I want you to share with me, what are some ways that you've influenced your kids that you feel are good or bad? Either way, 844-200-3264 is the number. Again, 844-200-3264. And by the way, on the money thing, one of the things that we influenced our kids was remember I said I didn't want to rob them of the blessing of understanding poverty, is that we've brought them on in to orphanages. We had them serve the homeless, wash the feet of the homeless, hand out roses to prostitutes. We had them serve in lice-infested orphans, with life-infested orphans, building things, creating a better new home for those kids. We've sent them out into like really nasty places that you would call nasty, that they call their second home. And that's made a big difference in their lives. They're all givers. They want to help people who cannot help themselves. That is beautiful character that has been put in them because of a conscious choice we made to pull them out of the merchandising evils and into taking care of others who truly can't take care of themselves. And that's the blessing of teaching your kids about real poverty. They become more well-rounded as individuals, as I even see to this day. Yesterday, Micah went and cashed a check. He gave me $80 in cash, and he goes, Mom, this is for King's Ransom. Okay. I said, how much did you just deposit? He goes, $400. I said, so you wanted to give 20%? He goes, yeah. He goes, I often just give more than 10%. He goes, sometimes I give all of it. Sometimes I give 10%. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I give, like now it's 20%. I just give what I feel like I want to give. But it usually is at least 10%. Wow. He's 15 years old. That's amazing, right? This is Dani Johnson. I can't wait to hear how you've positively influenced your kids or how you've negatively influenced them so we can all learn something great together.
Hey, have you done a favor for your best friend yet? Then do it now. Share this program with them. The Dani Johnson Show, helping hundreds of thousands of people just like you make life more enjoyable and rewarding. The Dani Johnson Show.
Okay, if you know me at all, I don't want you spending a penny more than you have to on anything. This is one of those things. If you're a business owner and take credit cards, you're paying too much unless you're working with my friend Kevin at Prestige Merchant Solutions. He's so confident that if he can't save you money, he'll pay you $100. Listen, if you're accepting payment by credit cards, check it out. 850-200-0709. That's 850-200-0709. Kevin guarantees 5-star service. He guarantees he'll save you money, and he'll pay you $100 if he can't. No risk, right? So what are you waiting for? Call today. It's quick to change your current service, incredibly reliable, 24/7 support, and payments are processed quickly. Tell him Dani sent you. There's nothing to lose. Call 850-200-0709. 850-200-0709. Stop overpaying today. Is God calling you to the entertainment industry? Do you want to rise for Him? Do you want to be an actor, model, singer, or dancer and shine for God? Do you think the world needs better role models? Do you want to be a star for the Most High God? Actors, models, and talent for Christ is coming to a city near you. A new generation of Christian performers is rising. Call 800-STAR-420 or go to amtcaudition.com. God gave you talent for a reason, and that is to shine for Him. So we are searching for actors, models, singers, and dancers. Go to amtcaudition.com to find out when and where the next free audition will be held. Entertainment is the best opportunity for Christians to change the world, and the time is now. Are you ready for that call? 800-STAR-420 or go to amtcaudition.com. That's actors, models, and talent for Christ. Register for your audition today.
We're back. Here's Dani Johnson.
I'm going crazy. I just don't know where to begin with my kids. Chill out. Hi, I'm Dani Johnson. We're talking about our influence that we personally have on the next generation, which means we are influence on the future. If you can't get your kids to obey, I want you to look in the mirror real quick. How obedient are you? With what, Dani? I don't need to obey nobody. If you're working for somebody, they've given you tasks, yeah, and you don't finish them, you don't meet the deadlines, that's disobedience. That's rebellion. It is. So, or your spouse has made a request, you're all stiff-necked about it. I ain't gonna do that. No way. Ugh. You gotta quit whining about your kids that won't obey, and you might want to start making some changes. This is Dani Johnson, 844-200-3264. Again, that's 844-200-3264. We're going over to line 6. We got Renee from West Virginia. Renee, how have you positively influenced your kids?
I've positively influenced them by teaching them to speak life instead of words of death over their life. I have them in church. I talk constantly about having a vision for their life, just to not be meandering out there. And they've fed the homeless with our church. They went to Atlanta, Georgia, and fed the homeless. Went under the bridges and did that.
Nice.
Also, just conversations talking about living a balanced life. Those are some of the things. Teaching them to tithe and save money. They both have their own checking accounts, and they're 16 and 18.
Nice.
My 18-year-old daughter is blind. She's been blind since birth, and she has her own checking account. She worked this past summer. We've never allowed her to use her blindness as an excuse.
Hold on a second. Wait. Renee, hold on. I'm so sorry. I want to make sure I heard you right. Did you say blonde or did you say blind?
Blind.
Say it again.
Blind.
Like B-L-I-N-D.
She cannot see.
She cannot see.
B-L-I-N-D. Yes. And she does chores around the house. She has her own checking account and works and saves money and tithes. Is active in our church. So
wow.
She's never used. Sometimes she forgets that she's blind. So that's her words, not mine. She's an amazing individual. So both of them are. They're going to do. I tell them constantly they're going to do awesome things in this world. That God has an amazing plan for them. I've spoke that over their lives since they were babies.
Wow.
So.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man, that's some positive influence. My goodness. So hold on a second. Parents that give birth to a blind child tend not to do what you've done with your blind child. But you've spoken life and hope and vision into your daughter and have not allowed you to give her an excuse, because kids don't come up with excuses by themselves. That's my personal opinion.
Right.
They echo.
We tried when
But they echo our excuses. They echo them.
Yeah.
And so you have not given your daughter room to have blindness as an excuse to not be a functioning citizen in this world. And her answer is, I sometimes forget I'm blind. Wow. That's amazing.
Right.
Mom?
Yeah. She's
Good
going into college
job.
next. Thank you so much. I'm very proud of them.
I'm very proud of you. I'm very, very proud of you.
Thank you.
That you've taught your kids to be savers. You've taught your kids to be givers. You've taught them to serve. You've taught them to work. That is what you're supposed to do. You've taught them to have vision. You've taught them to speak positively over their lives. So many parents speak negatively about themselves and speak negatively to their children and speak negatively about other people, that they raise a pessimistic, depressed child, and they can't figure out how come their kid can't do anything. And it simply is by our example. How we use our words, they pick it up. And you have a blind child who has faith. You have a blind child who serves the homeless. You have a blind child that gives. Mom, you are the model, honey. Good job. Thanks so much. That is so powerful. Man, you inspired me today. You really did. You inspired me, gave me a lot to think about. Okay, we also have Kara from Michigan. Everyone wants to talk about how they've influenced their children in a positive way. No one wants to talk about how their mistakes that they made, but I'm going to get to somebody that does. All right, Kara, how have you positively influenced your kids? Teach us today.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I have one, and she's 3, and we just recently made an out-of-state move. And we have been working with our daughter on actually her attitude and the choices and how that, she needs to learn about consequences. And so many parents tell us, okay, well, we know nothing about consequences and how, it is going to affect our daughter, especially with her being 3. But let me just tell you, recently there have been some areas we've been using your tool, Grooming the Next Generation, and we didn't start on it as soon as we would have liked. But when we had recently taken our daughter to a pediatrician who she had only seen one time, he wanted to already label our daughter. And we all know that labels are not necessarily true, and we can absolutely overcome them. And our goal has been to allow our daughter to be who God had created her to be.
Amen.
And not to put limits on her creativity, but also had to change maybe the way that she addresses people, how to respect authority.
Yeah.
We had started a bank account for her before she turned the age of 1. We started by monitoring the foods and choices that she has been making.
Yeah.
We have been on a pretty healthy biblical eating plan. And when I say biblical, it's truly a biblical eating plan. And I am noticing that I don't give her more than 1 or 2 choices at a time. She doesn't eat her breakfast, then guess what? She gets served that for a snack.
That's right.
I don't cave into her. I don't pay attention to her when she's throwing a tantrum on the floor. But I more or less just redirect her. And I noticed one of the biggest things that amazed me, for example, the other day, she had a choice between a processed snack, which I very rarely allow. We don't like GMOs or MSG or any of that. So I gave her a choice between a processed snack and an apple, and she actually chose the apple instead.
Nice.
But the thing that amazed me was that I was making dinner. I meal plan everything. I want to teach my daughter routine. I want to teach her, and so does her father, when he's working a lot. So I'm mainly the primary parent that's with her.
Right.
And the biggest thing that we have really focused on is allowing her to be a part of the kitchen and the tasks that I do. I work from home, and the main reason was so I could
So you'll be home with her. Yeah, Tara,
So
you know
I
what? This is
wanted to
so
do it
good.
for her.
I'm really proud of you on how diligent you're being. I can hear the diligence in your voice, and that's something that your daughter's going to pick up. Being raised by you is that you are very purposed. You've thought these things through. You're looking at the way that she will respect authority in the future, not allowing somebody to label her. These are all really good and positive things to influence our children with. Tara, you're doing such a great job. Thanks for being a committed mom and giving it your best shot. This is Dani Johnson. We're going to continue more with your calls about how you feel you're positively influencing your kids or negatively, and how do we solve that? We'll be right back.
Stay tuned for more of Dani Johnson in just a moment.
Dani Johnson here, and you're listening to The Dani Johnson Show with tens of thousands of people just like you. People thinking about what you think about, talking about what you talk about, and needing the same products and services you need. It's a place where like-minded consumers gather, savvy business owners, marketing directors, and responsive individuals making significant buying decisions. From consumer home goods and services to business products, people just like you needing the same things you need. They should be buying your product and service, or doing business with your company. I'd love to help. To find out how to advertise on this show, email info@intelerep.com. That's info@INTELEREP.com. Or call 251-928-9400. That's info@intelerep.com or 251-928-9400. You tell yourself that life isn't that bad. You relish the small pleasures. Drive-through coffee, big screen TV, vacations bought on credit cards. But that's as good as life gets unless you take a leap of faith. This is millionaire author, radio and television show host Dani Johnson, inviting you to join me for 2 days where you will acquire the skills to make the life you crave a reality. Call now 844-200-DANI or visit firststepstosuccess.com.
If you like being depressed, enjoy having no drive in your life to improve, want to be lazy, love being an underachiever, then this show is not for you. Get off your loser attitude and stay tuned to The Dani Johnson Show. The Dani Johnson Show. Dani Johnson Show.
Dani Johnson, my children are just a bunch of lazy, knuckle-headed, addicted to junk food and video game suckers. What do I do? My first question is, where did they learn that from? Where did they pick up those habits? Where did they pick up that lifestyle? You know, it's so easy to blame society. It's so easy to point the finger at somebody else. But you know what? Our kids, fortunately or unfortunately, are a mere image of who we are and who we aren't. We can't expect our kids to be something than what we are. Even, look it. Even if you're not a super successful person, but yet you desire for your kids to be super successful. What is super successful? Well, it's a parent that is teaching their kids the principles on how to succeed with people and relationships, how to have the right heart, what to do with money, how to solve problems with people and other things, how to act instead of react. Those are all really important success principles. How to have the right work ethic, how to have priorities and balance in your life. These are all very important successful principles. And we as parents need to live this out and sow them into our kids, teach them to our kids. So today we're talking about positive influences that we've had on our kids and some negative ones. And I think it's going to be a really rare person that has humbled themselves enough to look and say, this is where I messed up. Just as I started this show. By the way, welcome to hour 2 of the Dani Johnson Show. And if you missed the first hour, you can always hit our website, DaniJohnson.com, to catch the first hour. It was a doozy. It's good. I shared in that first hour some big mistakes that I've made, bad influence that I had on my kids that I saw manifest itself right before my eyes. So I want to hear some of them stories. Where have you messed up? And I want to hear how you're positively influencing them, because we all can learn from people's mistakes and we can learn from how they're doing it right. All right, so it looks like I got my first taker here that's willing to let it just rip. Londa from Washington State, welcome to the Dani Johnson Show.
Hey, Dani, I figured let's just get real, right? Let's just get real about where we messed up and just go for it. So I've got 7 kids, and I've corrected a lot of wrongs, but hopefully this will encourage somebody. I can tell you a few areas where I wish I'd really done things a lot differently. Number 1 was body image. I've struggled with my own body image for years and years. And so my kids grew up listening to me complain about my weight, talk about how I didn't look right in this, or this doesn't look right, or blah, 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 blah. And so, they're kind of self-conscious about how they look and that kind of thing. So that really spilled over.
Yep.
Another area.
Hold on one second, Londa. I want to interrupt you because I don't want us to just run over that one. Body image.
Okay.
This is so good. I wrote about that in Grooming the Next Generation for Success, about self-image and how us mothers can say things about our bodies that is teaching our sons and daughters how to be self-conscious of their bodies. What are some specific things that you said about yourself, not even thinking that the 3-year-old and the 2-year-old, right? The 4-year-old and the 5-year-old are listening. What were the things that you said? Because there's a mom out there and there's a dad out there that are saying the same exact things, and you can help them not create a poor self-image for their children.
Yeah, I'm glad that you said dad, too, because it's not just me.
Nope.
My husband's been the same size since we started dating, and yet, the other day, he was talking about, I wish I could fit in those smaller jeans, and I'm like, how small do you want to be? You're the same size you were when you were 18 years old. Let's get past this. But comments like that, this is great, but I wish this size, I'm a 10, but I wish I could be an 8, just to get in the single digits, or things like, I just need to lose, another 5 or 10 pounds. Or, somebody, maybe I'm going out for date night with my husband, and I walk out from my bedroom, and my kids go, oh, my gosh, Mom, you look so beautiful. And I immediately say, oh, well, yeah, but this skirt's a little tight. Or, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just, not only does it plant those seeds in them, but it also negates their comment. It's like, I know you're trying to bless me, but I just pooped all over it.
Not only that, but guess what it does? Actually, when I was just hearing you do it, I've done this. I'm getting so convicted right now because as I get older, right? I make comments about the old lady. Like my husband today, I had shorts on with this shirt that I'm wearing, and he's like, wow. He goes, man, you look so beautiful. And I was like, thanks. And he goes, are you wearing that to the studio? I said, yeah, I'm going to be sitting under a desk. No one's going to see these shorts. He goes, well, those are some mighty fine legs, honey. I said, honey, they are 45 years old and I don't work out. Let's deal with the reality of this. No one else sees my legs the way you do. Nonetheless, I changed my clothes and I have a mom skirt on. Well, I'm wearing a big old skirt now. Still trying to stay cool in the studio. But I put the shirt on. I put the skirt on, to honor his, comment of that, he thinks my legs are whatever. I'm like, I'm just trying to stay cool. Really? 10 years ago? Let's look at my legs. 45 years old? Please don't look closely. They're 45. Period. I haven't played basketball in, I don't want to say, 2 decades. But anyway, it's true. I'm getting convicted with what you're saying, Londa, because we do.
For sure.
We really do. But here's the bad part. This is the big real confession here. I have to take a deep breath on this one. Because it's something that I've been convicted on for 2 days. I'm writing a message for the next spiritual equipping, and it's a doozy. I've had to take a break from writing it several times because I've wanted to throw up. You ready for it? Here it is. It's putting the focus on ourselves. And we're teaching them to be self-centered.
Sure.
We're teaching
Which
them.
our whole society teaches our kids to be self-centered, right? This is the most narcissistic generation.
It is. But we can't blame the society. They don't live with them. They don't live with them. They don't sleep in the same house with society. They live with us. But in all reality, we are teaching them to be self-focused, self-centered.
But first, let me take a selfie. A friend of mine posted a picture of her newborn baby on social media, and the caption was "so-and-so's first selfie." Right? And I know they're not even thinking about it, right? They didn't do that on purpose or whatever. Yeah. But it's so true. Me.
Ew.
I'll tell you another area, though, that I totally screwed up in as a parent, and that's mishandling money. Mm-hmm. My kids have always worked since a really young age, like paper routes at 10 years old or whatever. Yeah. But then they just got to spend their money however they wanted.
Yeah.
And that was some damn foolishness, I'm telling you.
Yep. It is. Because when does that ever stop, right? When does it ever stop? That if we have our kids make their own money and then we give them the freedom to spend it wherever they want to spend it, where does this habit then come to an end? Because once you become an adult and you're married and you have children, you can't live like that. You cannot. You're an idiot if you live like that. You have to be financially responsible. You have to plan for the future medical bills that we know we're going to have. Cracks me up, man. Cracks me up. My last show, we were talking about debt, and we were talking about what has caused you to get into debt, stay in debt, what's keeping you from paying off your debt. And this woman was complaining about her medical bills. It's medical bills. It's their fault. No, it's your fault, fool. You did not budget for an absolute known factor. We all are going to have medical bills. Can you believe that people think that they're not going to have any? That's like saying I bought a car and I'm never going to have to get the oil changed. Fool?
Right.
You are going to have to get the oil changed. You are going to have to replace the tires. You are going to have to change. You are going to have to take care of the transmission. You are going to have to get an overhaul done eventually. You are going to have to put gas in it. But it's just so funny how people are with medical bills.
You in the face. Some of that slaps you in the face when you start having to take care of aging parents who didn't plan. And now you're paying for their, while you got kids still at home and in college, and you're like, whoa, wait a minute.
What about the grandparents, baby? The grandparents. We are taking care of my husband's grandparents because their 4 children can't even take care of themselves. Well, one of them can. But 3 of the 4 can't take care of themselves, let alone take care of their parents. So now it's on the grandchildren's shoulders. And right now we're facing taking care of my husband's mother. So we're taking care of the mother and her parents. Why? Because they didn't plan for their future. We are all gonna get old. And so I love what you said, that this is a place you screwed up. I did not teach my children proper money management. I taught them to spend all they earned. And then they turn into
Dude, I taught 'em
98%ers.
real well how to do that.
Yeah. By your own example. By your own example. So you've made some corrections.
Absolutely.
You've made corrections, Londo.
Absolutely, yeah, definitely.
And the corrections
Yeah.
are, how much debt have you paid off?
I think we're up to around $320,000 now.
How fast did you do it?
Yeah, in just a couple months past 3 years, like 3 years and a month or something.
$300,000 using what system?
We use you know what? We plugged into that War on Debt home study program, and that was really got the ball rolling for us to make some major changes in our life. And, it was awesome because we also, we did some things like it's really important to me to feed my kids organic food and, avoid GMOs. And so we downsized some other areas of our life to give us a little more in our grocery budget, that kind of thing. But we really, that War on Debt home study program is where we really started learning some of those skills and getting that ball rolling toward a whole lot of freedom. We got a ways to go, but man, we're so much further than we used to be.
Yes, which is so awesome. Londa, I'm so proud of you that you have the courage to be real and to not hide the mistakes that you've made, but to sound the alarm saying, these are two things, and there's probably more, but these are two things, and I'm telling you right now, don't do this with your kids, but instead do this. You're a great example, Londa. You really are. The fact that you have the humility to share that really shows that you're teaching your kids really good character as well. This is Dani Johnson. We'll continue with more of the Dani Johnson Show right after this.
No contrite cliches. No bull. Just a real focus on life.
The Dani Johnson Show.
What she says comes straight from the heart. You can't make this stuff up. The Dani Johnson Show.
Okay, if you know me at all, I don't want you spending a penny more than you have to on anything. This is one of those things. If you're a business owner and take credit cards, you're paying too much unless you're working with my friend Kevin at Prestige Merchant Solutions. He's so confident that if he can't save you money, he'll pay you $100. Listen, if you're accepting payment by credit cards, check it out. 850-200-0709. That's 850-200-0709. Kevin guarantees 5-star service. He guarantees he'll save you money, and he'll pay you $100 if he can't. No risk, right? So what are you waiting for? Call today. It's quick to change your current service, incredibly reliable, 24/7 support, and payments are processed quickly. Tell him Dani sent you. There's nothing to lose. Call 850-200-0709. 850-200-0709. Stop overpaying today.
Radio talk show host Dani Johnson in Kadwa, Haiti.
Hi, I'm Dani Johnson, and I'm here with Vida in her tiny little home. This home is the size of many people's closets in the United States of America. We're sitting on a bed, just a piece of sheet or plastic that these beautiful babies sleep on. They have nothing. This family has nothing. No water, no food, nothing. Won't you do something? The Bible says that if you ignore the cry of the poor, then you too will cry and be ignored. They're not asking for nice clothes. They're asking for food. That's it. Food, water. You can help. We want to build her a home. We want to bring water, clean, fresh water here. But we can't do it alone. We need you.
Help us radically change a community. Go to kingsransom.org to make your donation to Kadwa, Haiti. That's kingsransom.org.
With all the changes happening in healthcare, Christians want to know, is there any option that's God-honoring, affordable, and acceptable under the law? The answer is Medishare. It's not insurance. It's a nationwide community of believers who share each other's medical bills. Unlike individual insurance plans, which are now required to cover the morning after pill, your healthcare dollars never pay for things that go against your beliefs. There's no enrollment period, so you could sign up anytime. You choose your doctors from America's largest provider network. And yes, it's affordable. Family options average around $300 a month. Medishare is healthcare Christians can believe in.
Learn how thousands of Christians can help you save on your health care. For your free information guide, call 855-90-BIBLE. Not available in Montana. Medishare, affordable biblical health care. Call 855-90-BIBLE. That's 855-90-BIBLE.
Is God calling you to the entertainment industry? Do you want to rise for Him? Do you want to be an actor, model, singer, or dancer and shine for God? Do you think the world needs better role models? Do you want to be a star for the Most High God? Actors, models, and talent for Christ is coming to a city near you. A new generation of Christian performers is rising. Call 800-STAR-420 or go to amtcaudition.com. God gave you talent for a reason, and that is to shine for Him. So we are searching for actors, models, singers, and dancers. Go to amtcaudition.com to find out when and where the next free audition will be held. Entertainment is the best opportunity for Christians to change the world, and the time is now. Are you ready for that call? 800-STAR-420 or go to amtcaudition.com. That's actors, models, and talent for Christ. Register for your audition today. Dani Johnson here, and you're listening to The Dani Johnson Show with tens of thousands of people just like you. People thinking about what you think about, talking about what you talk about, and needing the same products and services you need. It's a place where like-minded consumers gather, savvy business owners, marketing directors, and responsive individuals making significant buying decisions. From consumer home goods and services to business products, people just like you needing the same things you need. They should be buying your product and service or doing business with your company. I'd love to help. To find out how to advertise on this show, email info@intelerep.com. That's info@INTELEREP.com or call 251-928-9400. That's info@intelerep.com or 251-928-9400.
Now, more of the Dani Johnson Show.
You and I have been influenced by our parents, by our teachers, by our classmates. We're now being influenced by the internet, media, books, whatever. But there is somebody grooming the next generation for success. That somebody is you and me, as well as many others. How are you using that influence? Is it going to produce a positive experience in the next generation or a negative one? How did your parents influence you? And how did that pay off for you? So many people say, I want to give my kids everything I didn't get. And unfortunately, they're talking about material things versus things like character, love, time. Yeah. Lessons. But instead, we want to buy video games, junk food, piano lessons, soccers. Whatever ball we want, they want, we give it. I think it's more important to give our kids the skill sets that we wished were given to us, or perhaps the skill sets that were given to us. So how were you influenced by the generation above you, and how has that played off in your life? 844-200-3264 is our number. Again, that's 844-200-3264. We've got Nicholas from Tulsa, Oklahoma. Nicholas, how did your parents influence you, positive or negative, and how did that play off in your life?
Oh, hi, Dani. My parents really, the biggest influence I would say that they have given on me is a spiritual influence. They're really teaching me, to read my word and to spend quality time in worship with God, and then letting me live that out on my own after they teach me, not just, riding me and saying, you have to do this, not making it to where it's a priority, but showing me and giving that and birthing that want and desire, to have my own personal relationship with God.
Wow.
And just, character things, every day, the little things that matter, the little things that help us build our character, that where we can really show ourselves and shine off in the, the big moments, in the big things in life. And so I would say, my parents really just installed that spiritual, desire, hunger, and fire, to want to personally spend time with God and worship Him.
Wow. Nicholas, so that's the kind of house you grew up in. That's amazing. And what a blessing. My parents worshiped drugs. instead of God, and God was a cuss word. So you and I had a very different upbringing. Now, I have a question for you. Even though you were raised around parents who loved God, they were on fire for God, they pursued God on their own, God was a positive influence in the family life, did you ever go off track and totally screw up?
Yes, ma'am. Definitely.
Tell me how. I want to hear it.
Okay. Well, I honestly have never shared this before, but, hey, it's a new day. I would say probably, I'm a junior in high school right now, so I would say probably freshman and sophomore year, I thought I was the biggest, hottest show on Hollywood. I am a singer, worship leader. I thought I was the all in everything, and I really let myself get open to pride and to lust, and I just began to, I actually got into, pornography, and that was definitely a difficult time, and my relationship with God was not where it needed to be, and I got into that and got into the show, and it was a performance. It wasn't about bringing the people to God's presence. It was about me looking good, shining off, did the girls see how good I sang tonight, just that kind of thing. And, I really fell in there, and I would say my parents really, in that, of course, I went to them, and God was dealing with me, and, your life is a mess right now, what happened? You had this fire, and because before that, I was the same, I was on fire and whatever, but then I just let that pride, pride comes before fall, and I fell. Wow. And so, they, I told them, I said, this is what's going on. I'm doing this, da-da-da-da-da. And they really just, they realized that I wanted to change. Wow. And so they helped me set up boundaries. Obviously, I was disciplined for my actions. Yeah. And I'm grateful for that. And they really
they loved you.
Amazing how
they loved you, Nicholas. They loved
love.
you. Yes, they loved you. They did not judge you. Nicholas, you're awesome. I am so proud of you. And I'm really proud of your parents. Thank you for having the courage for telling the truth. And this better not be the last time you tell that story. This is Dani Johnson. We'll continue with more after this.
Life! It's about the journey. Are you living the life you want to live?
Is it going the way you want it to go?
Don't live your life by default. Live by going the way you want to go. Dani can help you with your roadmap to life. The Dani Johnson Show.
Radio talk show host Dani Johnson in Kadwa, Haiti.
Hi, I'm Dani Johnson, and I'm here with Vida in her tiny little home. This home is the size of many people's closets in the United States of America. Now, we're sitting on a bed, just a piece of sheet or plastic that these beautiful babies sleep on. They have nothing. This family has nothing. No water, no food, nothing. Won't you do something? The Bible says that if you ignore the cry of the poor, then you too will cry and be ignored. They're not asking for nice clothes. They're asking for food. That's it. Food, water. You can help. We want to build her a home. We want to bring water, clean, fresh water here. But we can't do it alone. We need you.
Help us radically change a community. Go to kingsransom.org to make your donation to Kadwa, Haiti. That's kingsransom.org.
Ever wondered how to advertise on the Dani Johnson Show with tens of thousands of people just like you listening, thinking about the things you do, talking about the things you do, and needing products and services you need? Savvy business owners and marketing directors advertise on the Dani Johnson Show. Advertise your products or services on the Dani Johnson Show. Email info@intellerep.com or call 251-928-9400. 251-928-9400.
Improving the quality of your life. The Dani Johnson Show.
I love it.
We've all made mistakes. We have. You know, I was really touched by Nicholas. He, junior in high school, he used to be 16 or 17 years old, he called in to tell us about the spiritual upbringing that his parents had. His parents were on fire for God and worshiped God and taught him too. And this young man was a worship leader. And He got full of pride around 14 and 15 years old and opened himself up to pornography and had the courage to tell us about that. And here he called in to say how grateful he was for the spiritual upbringing that he had. That his parents really taught him to pursue God, to worship God, to read the Word of God. And look, this kid made it past this trial of 2 years of pornography and thinking he was a god and being focused on himself and not worshiping God, but using his gift to be worshiped by others. That, I'm telling you, so if you're a mom and dad listening right now and you have done your very best to lay a spiritual foundation for your kid, and your kid is off track, your kid's battling with pornography, he's having sex, or she's on drugs. Did you hear the testimony of Nicholas? He's calling to say I'm on the other side of that, and I'm so grateful that my parents set that spiritual example. When your kid is in sin like that, smoking weed, taking pills, sleeping around, breaking your heart, just know that the example you set for God, and even though they might be judging you, even though they might be blaming you, even though they might be coming at you with all kinds of hatred and resentment and calling you a hypocrite and all of that kind of stuff, the bottom line is the Word of God does not return void. It does not. And if you've planted that spiritual heritage inside of your child, it will give birth and they will serve the living God when it's all said and done. Okay, we're talking about influence, the influence we have on our children, the influence others have had on us, and how we're living and how they're picking up on our habits and how they live those habits out. And sometimes it hurts when we watch it. So have you positively influenced them? You want to share that? 844-200-3264, 844-200-3264. Or if you've made some mistakes and you want to share those so other people don't make the same mistakes. Same phone number, 844-200-3264. We've got Barbara from Oklahoma. Barbara, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks, Dani. I would really love to just share a current situation that just keeps happening with me, with my teenagers. When we'll be talking about issues and things with life and trying to work through problems, sometimes as teenagers do, they just don't want to listen. They'll just kind of, in a sense, throw their hand up to you and say, you know, I know what I'm talking about. I don't need this advice. And then I find myself getting escalated. Like I start yelling, you know, instead of being able to calmly diffuse the situation to be able to make them open to hear what I have to say. You know, it seems like I just get on that another level sometimes.
Yeah. You know what, Barbara, let's rewind, okay? Let's rewind. When they were little and they wanted to hear you, where were you? Were you busy?
Like in what sense are you talking about?
Were you busy? Were you busy with chores? Were you busy on a phone? Were you busy on the phone talking, texting, Facebooking? Were you busy and the only way they could get your attention is if they screamed?
No, not so much them. The fruit that I'm seeing of it is now that they treat their siblings that way.
Yes.
They're treating their siblings like like when they get into an argument, they start, you know, I'll find them doing what I'm doing to them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So here's the deal. And I'm saying this for a reason because there's somebody listening right now that has little kids in the house and mom and dad are always on their cell phone. And the kid is talking, but mom is texting somebody else or dad is texting somebody else. We're saying to the kid and we're not listening at all. We are not paying attention to them. Or we're thinking about something else. The kid's talking, and we're thinking about something else. We're not giving them our undivided attention. We're not helping them to feel valued by not hearing them talk about whatever, right? Whatever the, you know, I saw this worm and it was this color and it had all these red lines on it and then it pooped on me, Mom. You know, we have a tendency of not like totally being interested in what our kid is talking about. I remember fighting boredom in conversations when my kids were young, just like, oh my gosh, I would love to have a stimulating conversation versus hearing about that again. So that then manifests into we reap what we sow. And later on, when our kids don't want to listen to us, it's chances are we had sowed that we didn't want to listen to them at some point. And so I say that because there's somebody else that's listening that has little kids now. Please listen to them. Please pay attention to them, because it will be manifested when they're teenagers and they're like, pfft, and that's what Barbara's going through right now, like, stop, whatever, I don't want to listen. Can I just say this to you? Because my husband and I, right now, we're at our last 2 teenagers in the house. We have 3 adult children, and we have 2 teenagers left that are still in school. One will be graduating a year and a half early from high school, and then Micah's 15. They are all men now, right? Our 3 boys are 20, almost 20, 16, he turned 17 in a couple weeks, and then 15. But they're all hairy, they're big, they're men, right? Big men. There's something my husband and I have been kind of going around and around with, and it's different with daughters versus sons, and I've found this to be very true, and I wrote about it in the book, Grooming the Next Generation for Success. And what I found to be interesting, that when I gave birth to the first son, he was my 3rd child, I noticed something really different about him that wasn't the case with my daughter. And what it was is that Erica had just this very natural, submissive nature about herself. But Cabe had a very natural, dominant nature. And I asked the Lord about this, like, this is weird. How do I do this, right? Because my daughter was more easy to be more compliant naturally. And see, God made us women to submit. And he showed me that he made the men to lead, to dominate. And that isn't to say that there aren't women that lead, because we all lead in our houses. However, we are subject to our husbands. That's how we were wired. That's how we were made. The women's lib movement says something different. But the fact is that the feminist movement tells us the opposite. But the fact is our bodies were wired to submit to our husbands, to please him, to care for him, to care for the children, to care for the home. That's how we were built. That's our natural makeup, physiological makeup. So when I had Cabe, it was like, man, I just noticed that this kid was like, he wanted to take control over everything. He wanted to dominate everything, and I didn't want to squash his spirit, right? And so here now we fast forward, we're down to, because our daughters are older, our sons are younger. And we're in this stage where we now have, because my son is staying with us right now with his wife, and then our other 2 sons that we're still, responsible for. We're not responsible for the other 2, that they have their own life. They're saving money right now and wanting to, travel and do all this other kind of stuff. So long and short of it is this. We both came to this place of like, this is just the strangest place to be right now. It's almost as though we are in it's like something is shifting. And our boys are really mature. Like our son Roman bought a house when he was 15. He manages tenants right now. He's a landlord. He's still in high school. He doesn't drive a car. He doesn't have a car. He doesn't have his driver's license. So just odd, right? He's held down a job since he was 12, 13 years old. He has investments in cattle. He's got gold and silver. I mean, he's well advanced with people, speaking, working, problem solving. He's a challenge because he's so flippin' smart. And we came to this place of, I think it's time for us to listen more and teach less. Because when they were younger, we had this authority in their life where they needed to learn these particular things. But Mommy, you've already taught them those things. And I even had Roman say that to me. He's like, Mom, he goes, I just wish you'd just listen. I want to tell you what happened at that camp. And I don't want you to tell me why that kid said that or did that. I just want to talk about it. Sorry. Micah even said something to me once. He goes, Mom, there's just some things that are just better left unsaid. Like, you're right. So the things that I
can't help myself.
Right. But see, this is what's so hard. I got you, Mama. I got you. My husband and I both are like, how do we do this? Because we've poured so much into our kids, and now they're living it out in their way, and they're kind of holding us accountable right now of this. Listen, Just listen. And that's what we got to do. So that's the thing to pray through right now, Mama, is it might be time to listen and to stop teaching. Just listen and trust that what you poured into them, you're going to see it manifested in a good way. This is Dani Johnson. We'll continue with more right after this.
Don't just stand there. Soak this up. It's joy, it's encouragement, it's insight to a better life and how to meet your obligations and overcome obstacles.
The Dani Johnson Show.
This is The Dani Johnson Show.
Radio talk show host Dani Johnson in Kadwa, Haiti.
Hi, I'm Dani Johnson, and I'm here with Vida in her tiny little home. This home is the size of many people's closets in the United States of America. Now, we're sitting on a bed, just a piece of sheet or plastic that these beautiful babies sleep on. They have nothing. This family has nothing. No water, no food, nothing. Won't you do something? The Bible says that if you ignore the cry of the poor, then you too will cry and be ignored. They're not asking for nice clothes. They're asking for food. That's it. Food, water. You can help. We want to build her a home. We want to bring water, clean, fresh water here. But we can't do it alone. We need you.
Help us radically change a community. Go to kingsransom.org to make your donation to Kadwa, Haiti. That's kingsransom.org.
If you're a Christian who's paying too much for healthcare, you're going to love Medishare. It's a nationwide community of believers who share each other's medical bills. It's affordable. Families average around $300 a month, and it's accepted by America's largest network of health providers. Plus, the healthcare law has a special provision for Medishare members, so you're exempt from any tax penalties. But here's the best part. Medishare is based on the timeless principles found in God's Word. You never have to pay for things that go against your beliefs. Medishare is healthcare the way God meant it to be.
Learn how thousands of Christians can help you save on your health care. For your free information guide, call 855-90-BIBLE. Not available in Montana. Medishare, affordable biblical health care. Call 855-90-BIBLE. That's 855-90-BIBLE.
We're back. Here's Dani Johnson.
Part of being a good influence in people's lives is being a good listener. And boy, have my kids called me out on that one recently. My poor listening skills. I can't get away with anything in my house, man. I can't get away with nothing. You know, when you are somebody that takes a position of, helping people, right? Solving problems every day, you know, writing books about spiritual matters, financial matters, parenting matters. Yeah, then your kids hold up your book and go, hey, Mom, you talk about listening, you ain't listening right now. Like, oh, gosh. Anyway, but influence, being a powerful influencer means listening. I really need to work on that. I really do. So I'm going to shut up and we're going to the phones and we're going to listen to Michelle from South Carolina. How are you influencing your children, Michelle?
I am going to be real as well, and I'll say where I screwed up first. I was listening one day to my kids talk to each other, and I was listening to their tone of voice as they were interacting, and I'm like, kind of, you know how you kind of talk to God, and you're just like I was just like, God, why are they talking like that to each other? Like, we don't hang out with a lot of people. Like, where are they getting this? And instantly I heard, how do you talk to them? And I literally started weeping. I was so convicted. I was like, you're right. Like, that is it's the tone of voice of, you should already know that. Like, why are you not doing this? Or what? You would do that? And it completely, radically, I mean, you know, like, people talk about God taking them to the woodshed and spanking them.
Yes.
That was a really hard spanking, but it drastically changed our home. Like, I was like, thank you, God, for showing me. And then my husband and I were talking about it, and I'm like, you know what? Everything that we see and hear in our kids is exactly what we have taught them. And that one time, that one instance, it radically changed everything. Obviously, nobody's perfect. We still have to say sorry sometimes because we screw up. But the overall atmosphere in our home is completely different since that point. So I was very grateful because my kids are still young. So I was able to, God was able to change that quickly. And just be able to influence them positively now.
Michelle, you are such a good mom, and I'm going to tell you why you're such a good mom. Because you are submitted and surrendered to the power of the Holy Spirit of the living God. He is the teacher. And this is what I love about him. Do you hear what you said? He convicted you. You see, when you get convicted, he lifts you up. And you are like, thank you, Lord, for showing me. And he shows us so that we can correct it. Because what if you didn't correct it, Michelle? Think about that for a second. See, condemnation is what the enemy uses. You're such a bad mom. You suck as a mother. You've screwed this up. You're never going to be good. You're just like your mother. You should have never had kids. I mean, that's what the enemy tries to tell us. And that's condemnation. But the Holy Spirit never speaks like that. Where he prompts us to ask a question. Wow, where did they get this from? And you probably didn't even know you were talking to him. I know there's so many times where I've asked a question, but I didn't know he was listening. And then, bam, there's the answer. And it was clearly that it was God. Like, oh my gosh, right? But look at how awesome he is. Because what if, Michelle, what if you did not make that correction? Who would you be raising in your house? Fast forward 10 years. What would they turn into? Scary. Scary. He spared you. His mercy, his grace, his love, and his faithfulness spoke to you so that you could groom up the next generation for greater success. I love that story. Man, that's amazing. All right, we got Tracy from New Jersey. Welcome to the Dani Johnson Show.
Hi, Dani. Thanks for taking my call.
Yeah.
Gosh, talk about messing up. I felt like I've messed up the first majority of my kids' lives. Lives. I have a 7 and a 9-year-old now, and I can't tell you the amount of pressure and feelings of failure that I've had for most of that time, for the last couple of years, where I tried to get it together and really breathe life into them instead of letting them breathe my stress.
Yes.
So this call is very, very important to me. Messing up with my priorities and my balance, and just having them see that as a mom, like it just came out in them. Like I would overreact or yell often, but it really wasn't about them. It was more about my pressures in my own life or issues with my husband that caused me to not be able to focus on being a good mom. You know, and I had the wrong priorities. I had the wrong idol. I had an idol, and it wasn't God. It was my husband, and I was so worried about pleasing my husband and getting the house right and the mom thing right and the wife right and all the duties of motherhood and trying to work and help my husband. And I'm like, oh, but I want to be a really good mom, and I just couldn't focus on being a good mom because I was so worried about meeting everyone's needs and especially pleasing my husband and getting it all wrong because my priorities were so out of whack and not having God first. So thankfully in the last couple of years, especially this year, I've been able to develop more strategies to be able to focus better and realize that, wow, I had an idol I didn't even know I had. So my kids will be able to see a more balanced mom, less reactive, much more intentional and focused. And I'm just so grateful that I got it now, but sometimes I beat myself up still for
You need to forgive yourself, Tracy. You need to forgive yourself. I need to forgive myself. We all need to forgive ourselves, because if we can't forgive ourselves, we can't love ourselves. And if we can't love who God created in us, not worship ourselves, but love what He created in us, accept ourselves, including our strengths and our weaknesses, well, then we can't accept and love other people. So you really need to forgive yourself. And I'm really, really proud of you that you allowed yourself to see that your priorities were whacked, that your husband was your idol and everything to do with pleasing him. We can never please man in the way that man needs to be pleased. Only God can satisfy our husbands. Only God can give them the satisfaction that they're after. We cannot. We must serve, we must love, we must care for, we must bring good to their lives. We must bless them, pray for them, not try to bring trouble on them, but we cannot worship them. I've learned that one the hard way too. Oh gosh, and man, it's taking a while for me to unlearn it. As soon as God revealed that one to me, it's taken a while because it's easy to just bow back down to that place instead of standing strong and going, wait a second, God. Because God doesn't have this crazy measuring stick, and he wants us to walk in his rest, work in his rest, walk in his peace. And when we're striving to gain acceptance, we have no peace. I'm really proud of you, Tracy. You're a good mom. You're a really, really good mom. You're a diligent mom. You're a hardworking mom. And the best mom you could give your kids is one that is not stressed out. That's the best mom you can give your kids. Stress teaches them something, and we don't want to pass that down. I'm really proud of you. This is Dani Johnson. Thanks so much for joining me today. We'll talk to you tomorrow where we give you one more topic and tip that's going to help improve a very important part of your life. God bless you. Have a great one.
You've been listening to The Dani Johnson Show. It's our belief that you can live a better, healthier, happier life. All you need is a little encouragement, a different perspective, a positive force in your life. Get that and more on the next Dani Johnson Show.
Okay, if you know me at all, I don't want you spending a penny more than you have to on anything. This is one of those things. If you're a business owner and take credit cards, you're paying too much unless you're working with my friend Kevin at Prestige Merchant Solutions. He's so confident that if he can't save you money, he'll pay you $100. Listen, if you're accepting payment by credit cards, check it out. 850-200-0709. That's 850-200-0709. Kevin guarantees 5-star service. He guarantees he'll save you money, and he'll pay you $100 if he can't. No risk, right? So what are you waiting for? Call today. It's quick to change your current service, incredibly reliable, 24/7 support, and payments are processed quickly. Tell him Dani sent you. There's nothing to lose. Call 850-200-0709. 850-200-0709. Stop overpaying today. You tell yourself that life isn't that bad. You relish the small pleasures. Drive-through coffee, big screen TV, vacations bought on credit cards. But that's as good as life gets unless you take a leap of faith. This is millionaire author, radio and television show host Dani Johnson, inviting you to join me for 2 days where you will acquire the skills to make the life you crave a reality. Call now 844-200-DANI or visit firststepstosuccess.com.